It's Love Week, and whether you and your partner have been together for a decade or a lifetime, keeping the love alive takes more than just remembering your anniversary. Here with tips for keeping your relationship growing and thriving is psychotherapist and author of Too Much, Terri Cole.
Hey, Terri.
Thank you.
You and your husband have been together for a lifetime. How do you keep the spark alive?
Well, I think we have to look at the fact that long-lasting love doesn't just happen, even though rom-coms and fairy tales want to tell us that it does. It really does require attention and intention to keep it good. And I'm going to be sharing some tips with you today to keep relationships thriving and growing, starting with one that I do myself, which is regularly reminding myself of why I like my husband.
Well, you like him.
Like him,
Yeah.
right? Because liking is different than loving.
Right.
And if you're in a relationship for a long time where you love them, but you don't like them.
Sometimes you don't like them, right.
Oh,
Right.
so tedious though, right?
Right.
It's exhausting. So we want to really focus on what we like about them. So what about you guys? What do you like about each other?
Oh my gosh.
You go.
I really like how smart she is and how much she makes me laugh.
Oh, that's nice.
Sweet.
I honestly was going to say I can't think of a thing I don't like about him. I like how grown up he is. He's a very pragmatic person, and he's an empath, and I like all of those things. And he also makes me laugh a lot.
So sweet.
All right, what's
What
next?
else?
Okay, so another thing.
What do you like about us?
Tell me more about me. A really important aspect of healthy love is effective communication.
Yes.
And a lot of people do the indirect communication or the opposite, where if you're upset and he says, "Is everything okay?" and you say, "I'm fine," but you don't actually
Yes, I'm
look
terrible at
fine.
that. I'm very bad. I admit that is my biggest
It's called
flaw.
being withdrawn in anger, and not that cute, not that great for a relationship. So what you can do to combat that is you can weekly or every other week do what I call a State of the Union, where you just decide on Friday mornings you're going to have coffee together. My husband and I do it Sunday morning in bed, reading the Times, drinking coffee, where we would talk about how's it going, right? Let's start with our gratitudes. Let's move into the things that we need to talk about, like what could we be doing better, or something that happened throughout the week or the last 2 weeks.
That's such a great idea.
Because what happens is we are normalizing having hard conversations so that resentment does not grow.
And when it builds, it builds. We have immunity sessions.
Yeah, immunity.
Ooh, I love it.
Well,
Say more.
So he always asks for immunity.
Well, she'll ask me a question that's kind of like, I don't really, there's no winning this. It's not, it doesn't pertain to me, but it pertains to like a subset of why men do certain things. And I'm like, I got to be honest with you, and I call for immunity. Can I be honest with you?
And so I grant him immunity. So no matter what his answer is, I cannot be angry at the response.
I love it.
Yeah, it's very funny.
Smart.
Yeah.
Very smart.
So how can partners make sure that their relationship stays fulfilling? Because people fall in love very quickly, and I think they want to have that feeling of like that new love all the time, and they don't really understand how to transition into different phases. So how can they make it fulfilling?
Well, part of it is you have to really know your person, which speaks to the, in the beginning, something, and then in the long run, something else. So you need to know, how does Mark actually feel loved? How does Kelly actually feel loved? Because for me, it could be having a 5-hour-long deep conversation with my husband. I'm going to say he would not say that's the thing that makes him feel loved. It might be a little bit more like physical touch or getting sexual or whatever, right? So
it sounds like you and I are in parallel marriages.
I think this is not uncommon, right? We want more conversation, men want more sex. I mean, this is kind of a real thing. But what would you say, I mean, you just kind of said it, but what would you guys say is sort of the way that you like affection and being shown love?
I like physical touch.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's how he likes to express, and I am more of a conversationalist. And so
two things can happen at the same time.
Yes, we talk about it.
You can talk and be being physically.
I usually say I need to talk to you.
things.
I need to talk to you. I really need to talk to you, and she knows what that means.
And you're like, let's talk, but let's do it upstairs. I mean, is that
exactly? That's what that means.
Right.
What else should we do?
I think part of it is really caring about what the other person wants for themselves.
Okay.
Because a lot of times we see you and we're like, I want you to be this way. I think it's really important that we're sharing like our hopes and our dreams. Like, what do you want for yourself? And then as a partner, really supporting that and helping that person get what they want for themselves.
You also write, be polite.
Yes.
Which I think is really, really important.
And so why is it important to be polite? Well, first of all, it's so easy to not be polite. Like with the people we're closest to.
Yes,
where we
it's
just feel
easy to like bark orders at, get me this, I need that.
Or if somebody asks you if you want something, they just say no.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So why be polite? Because what we're doing when we're saying please and thank you, first of all, we're acknowledging that you know who doesn't work for you, your partner.
That's right.
Unless they do, but most of the time they don't.
Right.
So there's that. But every time you're polite and you're kind, all of those niceties are like putting deposits in the well of goodwill. And when the crap hits the fan in life, which it inevitably will, when you have that well of goodwill to come from, rather than a well of animosity, which can also be built up over many years, you are so much more flexible and durable than when you don't. Another thing to think about is don't interrupt. No auto advice giving is what I meant to say.
Right.
Where if you come in with a problem, right?
Guys want to fix it,
I know you.
and that's not the answer. Sometimes it's just listening to the problem.
Right. I mean, what are you looking for, Kelly? If you have a problem, what are you looking for?
So we talk about this a lot because I will watch him intentionally listen to his friends' problems and sort of guide them, not guide them, but like listen to them fully.
Yeah.
And if I have a problem, I will be talking to him and I know he's not listening. He's on his phone. Suddenly, like, an Instagram video will be excessively loud in the middle of my, and he'll say, I'm listening, but I know that I don't have his full attention.
Super important, though, you make a great point about tech boundaries. And here's the thing. I need you to listen with your ears and your eyeballs, Mark, not the top of your head, because here's the thing, you're not listening, man. You're actually not.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, I feel like a basket at the front door for phones when we come in is probably a great idea.
Agree.
Yes.
I totally
Super
agree.
helpful.
All right, we need to take a break. More ways to keep the love alive when we come back.
We're back with Terri Cole, and we're discussing ways to keep love alive. What else can couples do to make sure they have a strong connection?
Part of it is the politeness leads into not interrupting. So here's the thing. One of you might be a way better storyteller than the other. And so when the other not as good storyteller is telling the story, the one who's great at it is like, that's not at all how it happened. You're telling it all wrong. And he probably is telling it all wrong, but he has a right to tell it how it happened for him. And the interrupting, like, there's something so loving about giving someone the floor. And when you tell her something, if she were to say to you, tell me more. Is there more you want to say about that? Instead of rushing or instead of jumping in to be like, well, one time this is what happened to me. Right. It really is an act of radical love to give your partner your full attention.
Sure, yeah. One final tip.
Okay. Maybe the most important tip is that we must empathize.
Yes.
Even when we don't understand it. So let's look at that caveat, right? Sometimes your partner will be upset, and it might be tempting to say, I mean, that wasn't even a big deal. I don't get why you're upset. If your partner has had a crappy day, instead of telling them all the reasons why they shouldn't have or how it's not so bad, how about just have empathy? How about just care and have compassion? Because empathy and compassion go a long way for long, healthy love relationships.
That's great.
Great
That's
advice.
Great. All right.
Terri, thank you so much.
Be sure to pick up a copy of Terri's new book, Too Much, available everywhere books are sold. Next, we're going to open up the love inbox.
Not the love inbox.